Perpetua, just kindly confirm where you are right now and tell us what the price of the consumables in the market are saying.
Looking at the hike in the prices of food items, especially tomatoes and all kinds of peppers, whether it's the habanero or the bell pepper, everything was so high. And that for tomatoes, at that point, you could get a big basket of tomatoes at 150,000 naira. Now, what this meant was that just four pieces of tomatoes at that time, you could buy it at 1,000 naira, or if it is a very small one, you would buy it at 500 naira. However, coming to this market, Maltov market, and one of the things I've come to realize is that the price of tomatoes has actually crashed from 150,000 naira to about 40, 50, and 60,000 naira per the big basket. And that's not all. Even for pepper. An example is the bell pepper. You could buy a bowl of the bell pepper for about 40, 50,000 naira before now. But today, right before my presence, I saw someone buy a bowl for 8,500 naira. She was able to fill a big bag with 5 bowls. And I thought to myself, these 5 bowls before now would cost her about 250,000 naira. But today, she bought those 5 bowls for less than 50,000 naira. And that is quite impressive. However, one of the things I've also come to realize is that this is as a result of season. It's a seasonal change that we always experience here in Nigeria. Just that the price a while back was actually much more than we had recorded in current times. And also looking at the price of other commodities, for example, you can see yam here. Now, a tuber of that particular yam you see over there goes for 7,500 naira. And this is a tuber that used to cost 3,500 naira before now. So what that tells me is that this reduction in price does not cut across all commodities. It doesn't cut across all food items. It's just something that you would see in the tomato, pepper, subsector. And that, of course, is because of the season. It's a seasonal thing, And I also tried to talk to the sellers, and this was one of the things they said. And then for onions also, I also asked for the price of onions, and I realized that the price of onions is also skyrocketing. So you'll see that onions, yam, and some other commodities actually bucked the trend. So what we have is tomatoes and pepper crashing because it's the season, it's harvest season, and that, while the other commodities are not crashing. And we're, of course, looking forward to the figures. Of course, on the 15th, we'll have the NBS release the inflation figure for the month of July, and that's something we all are looking forward to.
So I'd like to also find out, should Nigerians continue to expect that these prices will probably stabilize or probably spike later on? Because if the prices are dependent on seasons, and we know that seasons come and go, so is there a possibility probably towards the end of the year, as we usually have it, there's going to be a spike again?
Well, I think it's a recurring decimal anyway. So by next year, just about the time we saw tomato increase in prices, it might also increase in price. But what we do not know is to what extent that will happen. Like I said, what we do not know is to what extent that will happen.
So what are the people in the market saying now, most especially the buyers? Do they feel a sense of relief from this reduction in these perishable goods, aside others that the prices are still on the high side?
Well, it's mixed sentiment, and I was, fortunate enough to walk into a woman who was actually complaining. The seller was telling her that, oh, congratulations, the price has crashed. And she said, look at you, this particular pepper you're selling to me used to be 1,000 naira before now. So that you're selling it to me 2,500 naira really does not, well, maybe it's just a flash in the pan, because it still hasn't gotten back to the amount it used to be before now. That, of course, tells us that inflation is still real, and, of course, food inflation is still very high. And we also know that the federal government has taken steps to sort of address food inflation, talk about the import duty suspension, talk about some of the steps that the federal government is taking to sort of reduce the price of commodities, especially rice and some of the commodities in that regard. And it's our hope that when this finally starts, we would see the impact this will have on the prices of goods and services. And of course, we have mixed reactions to it, with some saying that this suspension of this import duty actually is not good for some set of people, and those set of people are the producers of this particular item. That's actually what we have right now. But of course, we are looking forward to what will happen by the 15th of this month. We'll have July numbers, that's inflation figure, definitely, and then we'll see how far this is going to go. Again, we were told that the import duty will commence this month, and we're all just looking forward to when it will commence, and we hope to see the impact it will have on the prices of goods and services, especially the select items that this particular waiver is supposed to be, put on.
So finally, before I let you go, in terms of the buyers now, and of course those who are trying to purchase these commodities despite the fluctuation in prices, would you say that the traffic is still on the high side, or is just moderate, or would you say it has reduced at some point?
I didn't get your question. If you could take that again.
Okay, so I said that in terms of purchase now by the buyers, would you say that the traffic is more, or it has reduced? Because you said that a few people have been complaining, but then mixed reactions in some other areas. But then I'd like to find out if people are still purchasing despite the fluctuating price.
Okay, if what you're saying is the reaction of buyers, I think it's mixed, like I said earlier. For example, depending on what's happening to the price of a particular commodity, you would have buyers react to that. And they would all you could see that people are not happy. I remember when I walked into the tomato space, and a particular one was saying, when this tomato was expensive, we didn't see you, you were not here. But that's a lie, because you actually covered it, right? Okay, so it just goes to tell you that people are not happy, people are not excited, and even this crash in the price of tomatoes is not enough for them. And then on the other hand, talk about yam. This has become expensive, and it feels like it's not, some of the things we used to call staple food are no longer staple food. Talk about gari, talk about, rice, talk about beans, even eggs. These are things that, the everyday Nigerian could afford before now. But unfortunately, it seems to... They really can't afford these things, and that, of course, is not a good thing. And that's why we're looking forward to the interventions of the federal government, and we hope that it will kick off as soon as possible. And we're also going to be monitoring that to see the impact.
Thank you so much, Perpetua Fasanmi-Peter, for bringing us that update. We really appreciate the fact that you've been able to keep us updated with the prices and, of course, the traffic at that popular market at Mile 12. Thank you so much. Well, that says a lot about the policies of government and what can be considered as staple for Nigerians at this time. But what is more important for Nigerians is how the policies of government has been rolled out, or they have been rolled out, would impact the availability of these commodities and the affordability of them also.